claims he was numb. Yeah, the killer claims he was numb. Oh, people, can you hear me? Are you trying to
Hi, welcome to the Sparkle Show. With us is Matt MACEDO. How are you, Matt?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I absolutely loved your movie Oceans. Tell us about it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so Our Oceans, it was my thesis film from film school, the New York Film Academy. Recently graduated this last September. And so the project Our Oceans, it took about a year to fully develop from writing, right from the get-go. Well, backtracking a little bit, right before I did Our Oceans, I did a PSA on the Transgender Day of Remembrance. And from that, if you've ever seen the website, please check it out. It's staggering the amount of people and names that are on that list. It's a list of names and dates and locations of pretty much where people who are transgender, where they've been killed. And it also describes the way that they were killed, and they're very brutal. And so that kind of inspired this story in a way. And I mean, film for me is a therapy in some, in a way. And so I mix some personal things in there with just themes that I know would resonate with people during this time. And so, yeah, it was really a creative kind of mashup of things, which kind of all my projects have always been to some degree.
That's very interesting. I'll just segue back to the PSA. Where can we see that?
It is on my website, mattmacedo.com, under documentaries, I believe. Yeah. Or
I'd
videos,
love to see that.
under some sort of section. Yeah.
Have you ever seen Trans the movie?
No. The one that I did research on for this one was Boys Don't Cry, because a lot of the movies that I've seen star a trans woman, someone who was male and transitioned to female. And like the one that really stands out is, I believe it's called the Tangerine Project or something like that. I think it's, or just Tangerine. Yeah. And, I've always kind of, the stories that they were really told under weren't really positive in a positive light. And so I really wanted to mix, or tell a realistic story for that matter. And so the story itself is really just about two brothers. One of the younger sibling is a trans man, or non-binary in this case. The actor played by Andrick Ochoa.
Oh, I met him. He
fantastic.
was great. I like him a lot. I could see him really going places.
Fantastic. Yeah, for sure. And, it was actually really tough. So originally, when I wrote it, it was starring a black trans man, or a black family, right? And it was so difficult to find that
Casting
person.
wise was not easy.
Yeah, I reached out to transgender talent, and they said, "Well, good luck. There's about 5 in the country." And I was like, "Oh my God!" And so, but luckily, we found the perfect person. Right.
That's incredible. I had interviewed Allison Murphy, and she was the one who had done Trans the movie. It was based on her daughter who had committed suicide because of all the bullying that she had received in high school from becoming trans. And her mother carries on that message and really wants to make people aware. She's a great lady. She's like one of the most incredible women I've ever met, because she dealt with her only child's suicide, and she battled cancer twice. So I'm always drawn to these stories, and I love hearing not only their story, but then their families. And so it was a really interesting dynamic for her. When you did this research, did you not only go to transgenders, but did you go to their families as well?
This story was particularly close to my family dynamic. For example, I have a half brother that I'm not particularly close with, or we try to be, but brothers,
Yeah.
just differences. And so that was really kind of the inspiration behind this one. And I mean, even going back to other film school projects, I kind of did the rounds. I did a movie about a father and son called Homegrown. I did a movie about a mother and daughter called Without Regret. You know, I did a, yeah, and so and so I really just, and now with Our Oceans, it's about two brothers, you know, and so I really kind of used that time, at least while in school, to, I don't know, to really work through personal things, but with the medium, through the medium of film, you know. And here's my cat, obviously needing to make an entrance.
And I love sibling dynamics. I think sometimes that gets lost because we have a lot of parent dynamics, a lot of romantic relationship dynamics. I love the sibling dynamics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. It was unique in a way, and the other unique aspect of it was the story doesn't end on a happy note, you know, and it's really a theme that carries on through some of my work, is that there's not really usually a happy ending with reality, you know.
How do people feel
so
about that when you showcase your movies and then they're like,
yeah, they're like, wow, I'm not feeling so good after this experience. I think that's kind of the goal for me. I want them to have an inward experience and to, you know, look at themselves and question, you know, their beliefs, or, yeah, just question their way of doing things. The biggest thing is living without regret. That's the biggest one. You know, I want people to just be mindful in the present moment. I think that's kind of a recurring theme in some of my work. And yeah, just be mindful, be present, and to live life without regret.
well, I love that you're doing this. I mean, honestly, you could be saving lives and not even know it. And with Allison Murphy, when her daughter had committed suicide, that was 10 years ago, before we know what we know now. We were not as mindful 10 years ago. And so you're really helping the curve with us learning what we should be doing, how we should be reacting and acting towards people. So you're really making big changes.
And it's in such a subtle way. I think that the biggest thing about it was I never marketed the film as a trans film, you know. Even the logline, the story is about two brothers. So not even in parentheses do I have that it's starring someone who's non-binary, you know. And so I think that's where the change is going to come, when it's not such a grandiose kind of announcement, you know, when it becomes the norm.
I like that. I like the subtleness. I thought it was so beautiful. And not only the story, it was just, the cinematography was, wow. It was so
Adrian Sarkowski.
beautiful. Wow. How did you find all these parts, these moving parts to make this film?
Yes, and mind you, it is every single moving part that made it as beautiful as it was. You know, everybody bringing their individual uniqueness to it made it so great. So Adrian Sarkowski, while I was going to school during my first semester of film school, I saw his thesis film, and it immediately blew me away. I was immediately captivated, and I was like, I have to work with this guy for my thesis film. So mind you, I had another 2 projects before that one, before my thesis film would even take place, but I just knew I had to save him for the main, you know, finale. And so mind you, we stayed Facebook friends, and he continued working on other projects, and then it just became time for me to reach out and see if he could do the project with me. And he did, as you can see, yeah, and it was a fantastic experience, and we're still great friends to this day. And that's kind of my goal, is to establish collaborative connections, you know, some people that I want to work with long term. And a great example of that would be my composer, Jamie Murgatroyd. I've never met him to this day, but he lives all the way in Australia.
Wow.
Yeah, he lives all the way in Australia.
How did you find him?
I met him through Facebook. Yeah, and so I met.
But just going around, or mutual friends? How do you find him on Facebook?
Yeah, it's crazy. Mind you, even then, Facebook was like, you can't add people that you don't know, that you don't personally know. And so this was about like 10 years ago at least. And yeah, it just must have been through film groups, you know, other film friends, you know, and mutual friends, and just adding each other. But he did the music for my first film, and he has done every film since.
So what do you think? Connection. I mean, I know people twice your age with so much more experience, But that film was just so well done, and you've won awards. Tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you. Well, I mean, the best one so far is the Hanford Film Festival. That one was an incredible experience. Me and the entire cast, the entire cast, just the two main, went with me up to Hanford. Yeah. And I mean, just incredible. It was in the Hanford Fox Theater, and it was an incredible night. So we won, I believe, 6 out of the 12 awards that were there. Yeah, and still kind of shocked at that. But yeah, so we won, I think it was, we won Best Director, we won Best Actor for Andrick, we won Best Local Short, we won Best, we won the overall festival winner of that one too. So that one was, Hanford Film Festival will always remain in our hearts for that one. And they've always been one ever since I made, my very first film was Homeless in Hanford, which is a little documentary about the homeless in Hanford. But what was really interesting, I made that when I was about 16, I think. That one's still up on YouTube. I think I just threw it up there and just left it to do whatever. But that one was interesting. So I actually wanted to be homeless. I wanted to try it. I wanted to be out there for like a week. No, I wanted to, but I was 16. Mama said no.
Oh, I understand.
So, yeah, I know. Now, maybe, no. But that would have been, that was great. And I heard rumors that it was on like the COS homepage and all of these things. And I never got a chance to see it all, but, great.
So Hanford's a conservative, more of a conservative town, wouldn't you say?
Very.
So you wrote about transgender and it won. How does that feel? You're kind of making history and you're making people like, hey, and they're like, we love it. That's got to be liberating.
It's surprising, first of all, for sure. And it's freeing. It's great to see the amount of progress our community is doing. And even just the Central Valley, because I'm living here in LA now, and it's completely different. It's a completely different atmosphere. It's completely different. Two different headlines to the same story, basically. And it's good to see. Even myself, being raised in a conservative environment and then coming here, I can see the positives and negatives of both. Mm-hmm. And so I find myself just really in the middle when it comes to a lot of things. Which I think was a great place to be. I don't want to be too far somewhere and too far the other way.
Right.
So, and I think that's what the community actually kind of respected about this film. I didn't hammer it over the head.
That's true.
The subject. It was very subtle. It's again just a story about two brothers. There was no like gruesome scenes or there was cursing, of course, but not to the extent. Well, there was a lot of cursing.
How long
but
is the film?
They were very angry.
Is it 20 minutes?
No, it's about without credits, it's about 9 minutes.
Oh, I knew it was a longer one than the short, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's about 12 minutes total, I think. I could be completely mixing it up with another project that I've been editing since. So.
Well, it was riveting. I went there to see my short films, and me and my mom were just like riveted the whole time. We're like, oh my gosh, this movie's incredible. So I'm like, forget about my stuff. I like our oceans.
Oh, you're sweet. Yeah, everybody's was a lot of fun to watch. You had The Wolf, right? Yours is The Wolf?
I had a couple. I had an animated one and then one where I was running.
Yeah, that's the animated one, yes.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. That was a really fun night. And so I wish a lot more of my classmates were able to submit as well and go, but for the drive, it's about a 2.5 hour drive.
Right.
So they weren't too excited for that. Yeah. But next time, now that they see what success, I was able to have with it, and, that I'm sure encourages them a bit more to submit.
Okay, Matt. So what are we working on now? What can you tell us?
Okay. Well, I've been collaborating with a writer recently, Nikki, and she brought 2 projects to me. Well, okay. One I directed and one I edited. And so the one I edited, because I could, It's actually called Because I Could.
Nice.
Yeah, it's kind of an environmental documentary type experimental project. It's interesting. So she brought it to me in the hopes of like saving it. Can you save this project and make it kind of coherent and make sense? And obviously, with her by my side, we were able to make it work. And that one was also shot by Adrian. It's an interesting. It was shot on iPhone, and they had anamorphic adapters to it, so kind of it looks nice. But it's a nice little touch. To get into specific festivals that are for iPhone, that's
So
the
are
reason she did
you
it.
really focused on the short film circuit as of now? That's what your focus is before you get to a feature? I know you're going to do a feature one day.
Oh, let's hope. Yeah, I mean, right now I'm still just interested in building connections, relationships. Ideally, I would love to work with a writer. Writing, it's a lot. There's a lot that goes into writing.
And
then
you
have
wrote
to
Our
switch
Oceans,
from
right?
people.
You wrote that
Yeah.
and directed
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and produced and
Oh,
edited.
that's
well,
why
no,
I'm
no.
just so blown away by it. I can't believe you did all of that, being this young. It's impressive.
Thank
props.
you. Yeah, we had a great editor from AFI, Loudway, his name is. He was fantastic. And from AFI too, it was really, I was really thankful to have him on board.
And this is all from the
And
New
so
York
the other
Film School, right? That you would, in LA, you went to the New York Film School, right?
Yes, I went to the New York Film Academy, and he, the editor, went to or is going to American Film Institute, which is the #1 film school in America, I believe. Yeah. But I continued on my education post-school, post-graduation. I attended a few master classes by a man named Peter Markham, and I really encourage any film director to take his class. It's filmdirectingclass.com. And
So anybody can do it online?
Yeah, you can go sign
Wow,
up online,
okay.
and he's been doing them online too.
Peter
since
Markham.
recently.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, and he was the former head of directing at AFI, and he taught so many people at AFI, but one in particular is Ari Aster, who raves about Peter and says he was one of the best instructors he ever had. And just from taking 2 classes with him, I can already vouch for that and say it's definitely true. I mean, he taught me so much in just the 2, I think it was 8 hours compared to, almost 4 years worth of education crammed into 3 years. Yeah, it was intense. But the other projects I have going on, Because I Could is one, but the other one, which is going to be really interesting, the one I directed, it's called A Portrayal of a Subtle Suicide. And that one, it's very, very subtle. I hope people will get the story.
There you
It's
go
very
with the
subtle.
feel-good movies again, Matt.
I know. What is
No,
up with
but
that?
they're good. They're so poignant. It's done well, so
Thank you. Yeah,
it's not too dark. I think the average person could appreciate that.
It's really interesting. I'm a light person. I always at least try to have a smile.
It always
I'm
is. You're
laughing,
light in person, and then you're dark. You have the dark side.
And then
in
the
it.
work is so dark. Yeah, and so it's just my outlet. I all the inner thoughts just go through film. So.
That's amazing. And this is is the school using this as like an example of this is how good your work can be if you go to school? Because I'm noticing the difference that you've had the education than other people that haven't.
Yeah.
And I think it's really amazing.
That's very true. The project that I did right before film school was Drug of Choice. And that one, it did get into film festivals. And that one actually is the one that was able to get me into film school. It encouraged, that.
Okay.
Yeah, and definitely a clear progression in work. I mean, because you learn so much. But yeah.
What did your professors say about Our Oceans? Did you get good feedback from them? What did they tell? Did you show it before you actually put it out there?
Yes, I did. And it's just a regular, other students had really great films as well. The school, some things that they have used, for example, the transgender PSA, they created an entire event around the PSA to invite people to have a Q&A, all of these things. So that was an interesting experience. And then we also, for homegrown, I created an Indiegogo video campaign, all of this stuff.
Oh, nice.
And
Okay.
yeah, instructors actually use that video as an example of this is how you make a campaign video.
I love
So
that.
that's fun. But yeah, homegrown, unfortunately, that was a project that I ran out of money before fully being able to complete. Yeah. And so, I mean, I had to it was school, and so I had one project right after the other, right after the other. And I had to, pour my full attention into the thesis film right at that point.
So what happened to
So,
Homegrown?
I mean, it's done in the sense of it hasn't had professional sound design done. It has a
So you just need a few
soundtrack and
little
all of
things
that,
and then
but
we can see it?
just a few little things, and then you could see it. Even if I were to release it now, just people can be kind and know that it's not the best, but yeah, even if so, it's fine. But yeah, there's a lot of fun little projects that I have out there that people can watch if they're bored
So
on my
where
website.
can we watch our oceans now? Anywhere?
Not yet. So it's
Oh,
still in the
Matt.
festival circuit. I know. So it's still in the festival circuit. I mean, if there's even a festival circuit going on right now, but we'll see. As soon as it is done, hopefully I'll have it out to some degree. I know Ernest, he has his projects out on Amazon Prime, and so I'll try to do something similar to that.
Oh, yeah, I was in that one.
Oh
Khetphet
yeah,
57?
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the
I haven't been able to
bartender.
see it yet. Oh, nice. So, I mean, yeah. I just know don't know how he did it. I think I've done it once before. I've gotten a project on Amazon Video to rent, but
So is he helping you? Are you getting help
Amazon.
from the Central Valley or more help from your Hollywood connections? Who's helps you when you're like, here, I have this, what do I do? Who's your go-to?
Definitely LA for now. I mean, but I would love to collaborate with anyone in the Central Valley. I mean, Tremendum Pictures, they're growing and they're huge. I was just able to see Gallows Part 2 right on Xfinity, and I was like, hey, there it is. Yeah, they're distributed through Epix, I think. And so yeah, I mean, I would love to collaborate with Central Valley filmmakers, but for now, I mean, now the industry is at a complete standstill.
Do they ever ask you for advice since you're in LA? Are they ever like, what are you learning with this and this camera angle and that? Do they come to you? Because you have some knowledge that they don't have.
Well, I mean, Chris at Tremendum Pictures, I think he went to AFI. Well, they both went to AFI, or not AFI, New York Film Academy.
Is that what
the same
inspired
school
you
that
to
I went
go?
to. No, I completely didn't even know until when I got in. I think Caroline DeVore, she congratulated me, and then I saw through her, I think, I just saw him in a NIFA shirt, and I was like, oh, how cool. Yeah, and that's all that happened. New York Film School was the first film school that I applied to. It was the only one I applied to.
And you got it.
Even. Yeah, and I got it. So, yeah, it's really interesting. The number 33 is a bit of a lucky number for me. Like, it follows me around and it
Have you
guides
ever
me,
heard
and
the
it's like,
song 33 by the Smashing Pumpkins?
I haven't. I should
It's a
listen to it now.
great song. Look it up.
Yeah,
That's
I'll
that's
listen
your
to it. I
lucky
will.
number. So why is 33
Yeah, I will.
lucky?
I consider it a guide for me. Just, I don't know, just a lucky number. Like, even the school's address is 3300, and so 33 in the address. So I mean, just really, really, really strange things that are validating to me, at least. That maybe I'm validating them myself and making them fit. Who knows? But it's been really strange. I think it's just a way that I tell myself, hey, you're on the right track. You're on the right path to a certain degree. So.
It's so funny you say that because I like that number because of the song, and my birthday's 33083. So.
Oh wow.
Oh no, I just gave the year. We get talking. I get
I'm
lost.
sorry.
Everyone knows my age.
Just bleep it out. Bleep it out. You're fine.
Okay, so acting. Never a little bit.
In one of my own projects, yeah. Embrace. That one's definitely up on YouTube. You could see it was my first little dabble into a horror film. And mind you, it's a feature length. I wouldn't say it's a feature film because it was it was improv the entire time. So it was a lot of fun. I had a complete script made, but the actors went to the location. It was just really, really poorly put together. We were kids, you know. It was the film that I did right after Homeless in Hanford. So I was in high school. I got a little pocket Canon camera, and my mom's best friend is the woman who invented the Bumpits. I don't know if you remember that, the Bumpits hair accessory.
I had them. I rocked them. Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah. And so she had.
That is so cool.
Yeah, she had a house in Greystone Manor that she would let us come, you know, visit. My mom had her wedding there even, and so we went there for one weekend, and we were just like, what could we, you know, we had a script, we had a general idea of what could happen, and we just kind of threw everything out the window and, you know, made it up as we went along. But it was a lot of fun editing together a project and making some sort of story and narrative out of improvisation, and it worked. But it was one of those found footage horror films when they were really popular, you know, back in like 2012 or so. But it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Would you ever do a documentary on the Bumpits? I'd like to know the history and how she created that. I don't know if he's still around, because I'll go buy some. I forgot. I did that when it first came out, and I'd rock them again if they're around.
Really? You know, it's so crazy. Yeah, the story behind those. My my mom, she said she was a test subject sometimes for just like popsicle sticks, and like the way that she was designing them at first. Kelly is her name. Kelly Bennett.
Did I meet her at the Hanford Film Festival? Because I met Kelly Fitness. I met her and I interviewed her, Kelly Fitness, but I don't know if I met Kelly.
She doesn't live nearby anymore.
Okay.
She used to live in Fresno or Clovis, one of the two. But I don't think she's in the state anymore. Yeah, I think she got out because, you know, property taxes and all this kind of stuff. You know, California sucks in terms of that. But
so that would be an interesting documentary for you to do.
That would be a really interesting documentary.
It would be like that movie Joy, when they talked about the mop. I don't know if you saw that movie.
I haven't.
No.
But
I think it went up for an Oscar a few years ago.
Really? There are so many movies that I haven't seen that I need to catch up on. And mind you, like old movies. So like movies have been around for over 100 years already. So we have, you know, at least 90 years before I was born in films to catch up on.
There's just hundreds and hundreds of films. Okay, so how did you do the casting then for Our Oceans? When you found Android, did you put it out there on, how'd you cast?
So I originally did cast through Backstage and A-List casting. Was it A-List casting or Actors Access? Yeah, Actors Access.
How many people did you audition for that role?
Well, for that particular role, not a lot. Well, hardly any. Well, I had the other roles planned out good. Like we had extras, we had the siblings, the younger siblings were great. We had the mom, we had the priest, we had, you know, just all the other, I wouldn't say minor, but necessary characters, right? In order for there to be a story even. And so it's a funny story behind Chris, which is, Sammy Lee Robbins. He was originally supposed to just be an extra in the church scene, the first scene in the film that we see. And we had a scheduling conflict with who was originally going to be playing the main actor. And just by chance, we were like, hey, can you be this actor? Can you? And of course, you know, of course. I mean, being promoted from an extra to a main to the lead, like,
oh my gosh, that's insane if you think about it. That's a really good story.
Yeah, it's a dream situation for most people. I mean, if anything big happens from this, you know, but it was a lot of fun for him, and it was a lot of fun in general. I mean, that was his first lead, and so it was a lot of interesting moments to direct him. A lot of fun.
So since this was a thesis, did you get graded?
Yeah. I mean, I graduated, so that means we passed.
Oh, it's just a pass-fail?
It's just a pass-fail.
Nobody gives notes like, hey, this is great, or it would be good if you did this. Did they give any helpful notes?
Well, yeah. And so we screen to them and to the entire class even multiple cuts. So we have a fine cut, you know, the screen, whenever the screen picture is locked and all of these things, we would show them to our classmates and directing instructors and producing instructors, and we would get feedback from them. And you know, it's always different, you know, and everybody thinks differently. So would you take, you know, sometimes the directing instructor would recommend something, producing instructor would recommend something entirely different. So you have to either balance them out or find what you truly want to do. And that's what the goal always, you know, to bring out what you want. And so, you know, they encourage even, you know, just do whatever projects you know, feel comfortable with and want to explore and do. And yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So you're staying in LA, but you're from the
Yes.
Central Valley. What does your family think about that? Did they expect that? Did they want you to come back? How was it a gradual decision, or when you left, you're like, hey, no, I'm going to go to LA and try to make
I'm
this
out.
happen?
I was like, I'm out of here. Well, yeah, I mean, born and raised in the Central Valley. I was born in well, really young, raised in Kingsburg, and then moved to Hanford. And so the Central Valley was all I ever knew. And even when I moved to LA, it was just really overstimulating, right? So it's just
Right.
cars constantly, just, you know, it was a lot. And so it took me some time, but it became home, you know, especially when I moved out here first, I was in Van Nuys. And so moving from Van Nuys to Burbank, it's just much more of a fresh breath of air. Burbank is really just a much more friendlier residential town.
Oh,
you
I
know.
love Burbank. I lived very close to there for many years.
Yeah, yeah. And so my family, of course, they would want to be closer. And so they know that I don't want to leave here. So they hopefully will eventually come closer.
I'm glad that you live in Burbank, because I mean, a lot of people, when they
Yeah.
go there, they start going to all the trendy areas they think they should live in. But I think Burbank's a great place because you have
Okay.
all the studios. You got some
Well,
really
even
good
besides
places.
that, yeah, even besides that, like there's no it's just streets lined with tall trees and houses that you can just go take your dog for a walk and be completely, you know, at peace.
Right.
You know,
It's
there's not,
normal, but you
yeah.
still have the feel of LA, but with the normal life
Yeah.
that you can have.
For sure.
And there's so
For
much history. I'm sure you've been to Dimples.
I haven't, but I've been to Bob's Big Boy.
Well, Dimples
But
is
I haven't heard
the
of
Shirley
Dimples.
Temple place. They made it for Shirley Temple.
Oh, interesting. Well, you know, my other job, the job that really pays the bills, is real estate photography.
Oh.
And not too long ago, I shot the inside of, well, the outside and inside of Shirley Temple's childhood home in Beverly Hills. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it was
That must have been
huge.
so fun. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was nice. It was a beautiful, huge home.
So what do they do
yeah.
with it now? They're trying to sell it, or they're trying to make it a historical place?
Yeah, just sell it, I guess. It's strange. It's not the only person I've been surprised that I've like, oh wow, I'm taking photos of their house. The creator of the Coffee Bean, I shot
Oh.
his house too. Yeah, and he's having a 4-story property built in Beverly Hills right now.
Wow.
2 above ground, 2 below ground. It's like, dang, boy. But yeah, so I've been really surprised by the opportunities that I've had, and it's really strange. Every single job that I've had has always led me or brought the skills that were needed for the next one, you know, and everything applies to film in some sort of way too. You know, my very first job was, even before jobs, my hobbies as a kid was doing magic tricks. I would go up to people and do card tricks, and
Really?
I got smart. I got smart. So during Super Bowl, right, my parents obviously would, you know, they would take us to like the bar and grill, right? But I knew I would go up to the inebriated people, you know, and show them magic tricks, and I would get some tips. And so, you know, I was hustling at a
So
really
you
young
learned
age. And
really
so
early.
I learned real young. Yeah.
That's so incredible, Matt. Thanks so much for talking with me, and we are going to
thank
follow
you.
everything you're doing. Where's the most updated?
Thank
The
you.
website?
Website, mattmacedo.com.
MattMacedo.com.
Post a lot. Yep, mattmacedo.com. I post a lot on my Instagram at mattmacedo, and
At
then
Matt Macedo.
yeah, and you can add me on Facebook. I think it's facebook.com/director Matt Macedo.
Director Matt
And I
Macedo.
also have I also have a podcast that I just started throughout this whole kind of pandemic.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it's called Film Directing with Matt Macedo. And
Who
it's
have you had
on
on it so
Spotify,
far? Anybody
iTunes.
I know?
No, not yet. It's still growing. I would love to have guests on. If anybody would love to email me, please reach out through my website. But right now, I've been having a few episodes with just a few friends of mine from film school and a good friend of mine, Dedaloo. He's a psychologist, and what's really fun, we have a lot of interesting episodes. So we just did one, Hollywood versus COVID-19. I'm going to do another one with my cinematographer, Adrian, and we're going to talk about life on this film set after COVID-19, because there's a lot of changes that are going to be happening. And even more, I have a director that explored, he's done Drama del Rosario. He's done a few documentaries now where he's explored kind of his own inner trauma. And so I'm going to have him on for an episode called Trauma and the Director. I'm going to have my composer on, music meets the director. I'm going to have Dedaloo on again, psychology and the director. And so a few kind of interesting topics that I
Are
find
you getting some
interesting.
insider tips on COVID-19 in Hollywood and the changes that are going to be made from your friends like at Film Star? Is there like a powwow people have, or it's like, hey, this is what we're going to do for all the directors?
So I do have notes up if I can see, or if I could add them. I don't know if I swipe over and it cuts out my camera or not, but I do have some notes. And so, okay. Crew from now on will have to wear masks and gloves. So that's going to be
all the
a big
cameramen.
change. Yeah, and crew will have to practice social distancing as much as possible, which is going to be really interesting, right? The camera crew and everyone's so close.
Right.
No more visitors allowed during production.
I'm sure a lot of people are happy
everyone,
with that. The directors are happy they don't have to be the bad guy. I mean, like,
that's true. Yeah, the 80 especially. Yeah. Everyone might now have to have their temperature taken and or be tested before starting work. And so I know a few of these concerns, Adrian, and the legality behind them.
And this is everywhere really filming, no matter what country you're in? Or is this just a Hollywood? Is it SAG rules?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I think we'll talk about that more. I think because he was working on a project in somewhere and he had to come back. They just, obviously they stopped production in the middle of all this happening. And so it's been a really wild time. But I think hopefully after this, I think I have an episode coming out talking about the future of streaming, and especially during this time, look at, how powerful our connection has been to streaming services.
Right.
And things have been trending like never before on like Tiger King and other things and Ozark and but yeah, it's great. It's great that that's here for us during this time.
Thank you so much, Matt. We'll catch up with you in the future.
Yes, awesome. I can't wait. Cool. Okay, thanks for having me on.
Bye. welcome to the Sparkle Show. Stacey Snyder, how have you been?
Oh my gosh, so good. It is so good to see you, Sparkle. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, you've been doing so much. Like, you've been one busy bee, just one film after another, and I loved Heartless. Tell us about Heartless.
Oh my gosh, that was really, really fun. So some producers and directors, oops, did I lose you or is it
No,
just
I'm
me
here.
now?
I see. So producers and directors.
Great. Yes, so some producers and directors that I had worked with in a previous horror film wrote this film with me in mind and cast me in it, which was so fabulous and fun. Basically, it's based on The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe.
I love that. That's why I think I loved it. How do they write it with you in mind? That is complete acting in every level. You are nothing like that character.
Yeah, she's a little unhinged, but there was something in it where the writer just thought, this idea is really great. Stacey should do it.
Stacey looks
so
psycho.
I read it. She looks psycho to me. It was great though, because he's such an interesting character, and I just got what he was going for, and it made our interaction so easy on set to really like tap into what it is he wanted. And it's kind of got a feminist perspective as well. This woman in a boardroom full of men who are kind of harassing her, and then she, you know, Edgar Allan Poe, she takes her vengeance and has some interesting experiences.
Oh yeah, I related to it too well. I liked it too much. Just on a first date, I'll bring out this movie and be like, hey, I have a character I'm just like. You got to see it, and they'll watch it. Just like, have you ever seen that movie Teeth?
No, but
that's a good first date movie.
On your first date, you're like, this is based on my life.
I am that girl. Oh my. And then so when I lived near you, I used to watch you in plays.
Yeah,
and you did nice girl characters. You were always like the nice girl, the ditzy girl, because you're blonde, even though you're not ditzy at all in person. You would always do those roles. And comedy. I think the last thing I saw was comedy.
A lot of comedy, and like a lot of, like you're saying, very sweet characters. And then in film, I've been playing, you know, that mean, bitchy, frenemy girlfriend. Or, you know, this like horror element kind of psychotic person. And a few comedies that she's like sweet and naive, but really turning into these new characters, which has been really fun and to play in, is moving away from just this really sweet, lovable people into some of the love to hate people and getting to play with both.
Well, I love it because it's showing your range. I mean, not many people do that many things.
Yeah, and it's been interesting because I am so afraid of horror films. I get very easily startled. I'm like, jump scares get me. And now I've been cast in one and now this other, and we did 75 film festivals with 18 nominations, and I received 4 Best Actress wins in 1 year alone from this.
What? Oh my gosh. Okay, let's go over this. What were the film festivals you got the Best Actress wins for?
Oh my gosh, I'll have to like pull it up.
Are you serious? You got to remember what you won, girl.
Well, we went to so many horror film festivals, which was so incredible to be able to go all over the US and to see all of these. But I definitely got indoctrinated with a bunch of horror films because you watched all the other films in the film festival. So I got to really understand the nuance of filmmaking in horror and all the things that you can do, and have gained a much deeper appreciation for horror. And but it still gets to me. I still get like all creeped out and have to like pull my legs up.
And you're in the mix now. You're behind the scenes. How does it faze you?
It's funny because in filming it, I'll be working with the blood effects people, and I'll be drenched in blood, and we'll be taking this take, and I'll be like freaking out the crew, and then the director comes up to me and he's like, that was perfect. Like when I can freak out the crew, then I know I'm doing a good job. But it's like very interesting to drop into the character. But then I watch it and I still scare myself. when I watch it. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so you won the 4 Best Actress Film Awards, which you're going to pull up because you can't remember them all. Was it all for, which films was it for?
It was for Feeding Time and for Heartless.
Well, so explain Feeding Time. What's Feeding Time?
So Feeding Time is an 80s babysitter / Stranger Things vibe type horror film.
It already sounds horrible. That's an absolute. I'm like, are you the feeding time or are you having the feeding time? That's scary either way.
I'm babysitting for a baby that's already asleep upstairs, and then the parents leave and mysterious things start to happen, and then the baby, has a feeding time. So that one's really fun.
Do you feed the baby on feeding time? I mean, are you on time on feeding time?
In a way. I can also send you the link if you want to link to it. There's a way to watch.
Anything that we can see, everybody watching can, do you have a website that we can go to and see all of your movies that are out, or is anything on Amazon Prime?
Yeah, so my website is stacysnyderla.com, and I'm happy to share the links for Heartless and for Feeding Time because those are available online. One is hosted by Screenfest, which is one of the biggest horror film festivals.
Is that what you won?
I did win one there, but I forget for which film. I'm so sorry. Like, I should.
Oh, look at this girl. So many awards.
I just can't even keep track.
Have you been getting actual awards that you're putting up in your house, or do you get like a plaque or a paper? I've never won an award, so I have no idea. What do you get?
What?
Well, my movies have, but they give it to the director. They don't give it to the actress. What have you? Do you win a physical award, or is it plaques?
I haven't gotten a physical award. My director has gotten a few very interesting looking awards because the horror film festivals take liberties with what their awards look like. But no, I don't have anything in the house to hang up. Maybe
right, they don't. So they really don't give you anything either, right?
It's more just the recognition online and the
that makes it, yeah, because now when you said that, I'm like, wait, I did win a producer award, and I never got anything. It's just my word for I know. They need to make it like the Oscars. We need to come up with something. Or the MTV one, the little astronaut.
Okay, we can have fun designing and 3D printing our own.
We'll have to go through the list of all the words. Oh my gosh. Stacey, this is incredible because when I met you, it was all theater. I know you were going on some auditions, and then you kind of exploded, and now you're like everywhere doing all these films. Did you get a good agent? How did it all happen?
I am very, very happy to say that I have wonderful managers who I've been working with for a long time. I have a great commercial agent, a great theatrical agent, but I didn't always have them. And what I found actually is really just the connections I've made through self-submitting, auditioning for things, working on set with people, and cultivating those relationships, and they just call me back. So I have this horror venue of people who keep calling me back, and I also have this indie film venue of someone who's become a really dear friend of mine, actually, and she's a producer and continues to just throw me in stuff that she thinks I'll be suited for, and then we get to work on set together, and we get to make something really amazing.
That's cool. So are you doing some behind the scenes? Are you producing, directing, writing?
I have been writing. I've been writing a pilot and a script bible for that about basically fairy tale characters, but consider it more like Legion on FX. So it's a bit of a mind game. There's a bit of plot twistingness, and it's a little dark, but using some of these like characters that you know about through fairy tales.
Are you going to act in it?
The goal is to definitely star in it, but if we happen to sell it to, HBO and they want to put in someone else, I will have to acquiesce, I suppose.
Okay, I'm going to embarrass you a little bit here. I got to tell my most funny story about you is we were on a red carpet.
God, oh my God,
and you started talking in a British accent.
Yes.
That was the best experience of my life. Like no one's ever been that fun. Like I was like, what inspired you to do that?
something took over me because we were on the red carpet and you were talking to a photographer, and then they asked me who I was and what I did, and I said I was a music producer. I am not a music producer. I've never produced music. I don't know. I was just like, let's do something different here. And I think it was for a music red carpet anyway. And I did not, I mean, I was what, 22, 23, like no one could be buying this, but they did. People came up to me all night and kept giving me their cards. So I apologize deeply if you were one of those people, but yeah, that was, we were just having such a great time.
You pulled it off though. Everybody thought you were.
Yeah. I guess the moral of the story is you can't take me out in public.
No, I think that's a great story, and I think that's what makes you a great actress, because so many people are scared. Because I'm always that person like, do it, let's do this, let's like try to make this happen, and then people are always like, oh no, they're all scared to be fun like that, and you just went for it.
Well, you and I have had so much fun, and I've learned so much on confidence and being outgoing and making the rules for yourself by being friends with you. So yeah, we definitely had a lot of fun and made up our own rules as we went.
Well, thanks. But what I learned from you too is you're really proactive, and I know you like schedule things, and I could just see when you said that how you got this far was making those relationships and scheduling time and every day putting into your craft. You could really teach a lot of people that, because I think time management, procrastination is two of the biggest problems that I see with people that want to be in the business, and you could teach people a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, I think one of the difficult things about this industry is you have to continue to put in the work day in, day out, even if you're not seeing a result yet. So I've submitted for years. I was auditioning for things for years before this run really started ramping up for me. And just before all of these things happened here in 2020, I was really on a run of auditions, callbacks, bookings that have now been on pause with everything going on. But it took years of continuing to do it every day, even when I wasn't seeing a difference. So I think that's a big piece.
And that's gotta be hard.
Yeah, I think you just have to think of it like brushing your teeth. You just have to be like, this is something I do every day. And you don't get too emotionally attached. Wow. Because if you don't get the audition, if you don't get the callback, you can't take that to heart, because your worth has nothing to do with whether or not you're right for the role.
But don't you ever think, after so many times they're not getting stuff, you're like, oh my God, am I even good? How do you not let that get into your head? I'm not sure, but no, I mean, you obviously are good. You're good now. But how do you stick with it of that many times of no's to stick with it and know that you are good? We could say this now that you are good.
Yeah, right.
We couldn't say this back in the day. That would have been.
So why don't you just give up? Yeah, I really appreciate the friends in the industry that I have who continue to help me and work with me. Sometimes we do self-tape, so we send in a taped audition to producers. So working with friends on that really helps me understand where I'm at in terms of talent and
so people were telling you are good. You had people encouraging you to tell you what you needed to work on and what you were good to. You were like, okay, this just didn't work out now, but I'm on a good track.
Yes, I'd watch myself and see how I can improve. I'd hear feedback from others on how does this come across to you, because how I'm seeing it may be different from how other people see it. I highly, highly recommend joining an acting studio, really looking at different teachers, auditing classes, finding a place you really want to be in for a while and that will challenge you. And that also really helped my acting grow, is continually, week after week, doing the work, being creative, being with a cohort of other really talented people and being challenged and really like working on the craft. It's exactly like exercising. If you stop doing it, the muscles get weak and your effectiveness goes away. You kind of rely on old bad habits. But when you're continually in the gym or you're continually in the studio and you're working on it and you're in your element, and why would you not want to be there anyway?
Did you have a coach?
I have had a few really great teachers, and then if I have an audition that is especially exciting and I really, really want to book it, I will also get a coaching on the audition. So they'll work the script with me and help me really find the best way to deliver.
So what was the first exciting thing that you booked, whether it was a commercial or a film, that you were like, wow, this is so cool?
Oh my gosh. I feel that way pretty much every time I book something. Like, wow.
When was the first time, though, after all of this work you're putting in, when was it like, oh my gosh, I actually got something?
You know, it was, so the first horror film that I booked, Feeding Time, I really liked the script and I thought it'd be really fun. And I went into the audition, and in the audition waiting room were beautiful, younger, skinnier women. And I was like, oh, well, forget it. Like, just forget it. It's not going to happen for me. I'm not going to book this. But you know what? I really love the script. I'm going to go in and have the time of my life. So I went in and, you know, I had to hear something in the walls and do this whole scene. And I just went for it. And in the room, they were like, that was great. Thank you. And I felt really comfortable. Maybe because I wasn't expecting to book it, I felt totally comfortable to just do what I felt was right. And then I booked it. And the director, Matt Mercer, he told me that there was absolutely no second choice. I was it. I came in and I nailed it exactly how they wanted it. And that made me feel so, so great that what I brought was exactly what they were looking for.
That's so awesome. I mean, and that's a good story, and it keeps a lot of people going that want to do stuff, and that's amazing. So you mentioned traveling for all of these events, red carpets, to win awards. What about for filming? What was some exotic locations that you filmed? Was it all in LA, or did you do anything fun like that?
Mostly in LA or LA area. I did do one short where we ended up going all across California. We went to the beach, we went to the snow, we went to the desert. We filmed in all these locations throughout Southern California. So that was really fun and really interesting. But in terms of filming, yeah, everything has been in LA for me. I have gone to film festivals all over, but I was actually just about to, right before all this happened, I booked my first national commercial.
For what?
I can't disclose
Really?
because we haven't filmed it.
Can you say what product
Yeah.
is? Is it like sodas, pizza?
Well, it's in the live event space, which might take a while to recover.
Okay.
But we were set to fly me out to Texas, and we were going to shoot in Texas.
You look like you could be a Texas girl, Stacy.
I totally could. I just need a cowboy hat.
I see it right now.
Yeah, but then we were set to fly out on Wednesday, and the stay-at-home order happened on Monday. So hopefully when all this is over, I'll be able to fly out and do this really, really lovely commercial and get to travel. That is so fun.
Do you worry about that? Everything picking up where it left off. Do you worry about that?
100%. I don't think anyone can say confidently that they know what's going to happen. And people are going to still need content and entertainment, exactly like this. People are pivoting and making it happen and making it work. And it will come back. I do think it will come back. It may look really different. It may be slower than we would like. But I do think that especially the film industry and the TV industry will be very vibrant once this is over.
What about the projects that you had booked that maybe you hadn't signed a contract with yet? Do you worry that you might have lost them?
I do.
I am too. I'm going to be honest there. I asked you because I was going to do an Eric Roberts movie, and all this happened, and I have no idea where I stand.
No.
And that's in LA too. It's like
yeah, and the tough part about that is even if you do sign a contract, my personal opinion is you don't have it until you are on set filming it.
I'm glad you bring that up. It's true.
Yeah. Yeah, because things change and things change fast in this industry. So you may think you have it, and then all of a sudden you don't. I've heard that happen to people. I was in a production, actually. I was in a feature film. I was locked in, ready to go. They changed producers. They moved it to the Dominican Republic.
So what happened with the Dominican Republic movie?
Yes, so I booked a feature months back, and we had been in talks. There had been script rewrites. We were reading script after script of new releases. We were really excited to get started, and the production company paired up with another production company down in the Dominican Republic. And so we were all excited to move production down to the Dominican Republic.
I know, right?
Out for 3 weeks. I was like, this is challenging my worthiness. Like, I absolutely feel like a star right now. This is great. And so we were gearing up to get ready for that. I was starting to block off the dates, and that production company decided that they wanted to go with local talent only. So those of us who were already cast in the film, already ready to start flying down and get ready with production, we all ended up losing our roles.
Was it mainly budget, or because you guys don't look Dominican? Did they tell you, or you just...
Well, the role wasn't originally a Dominican character. My role especially was a character from the U.S., a U.S. citizen, and the whole story really hinged on a person from Mexico who had come to the U.S., who had married an American woman, and his residency and some of the challenges there. So it made sense for me to play an American woman in that storyline. So I'm not exactly sure what changes happened once the script got down with that production company, but I do know that they were like, I'm so sorry, but we're no longer going with U.S. talent. And that was a bummer. That was a bummer. And I hear that it happens though all the time. Like,
I know, I hear that too.
Change. Yeah. So it happens, and I'm sure it'll happen again, but at least I can say, you know, we had a good time doing it, and I got to work with the U.S. producers more and create those relationships.
Okay, so what can we look forward to coming out this year?
Yes. So let's see. We have, so I have a short called Ashes that is really avant-garde, really plays with like visuals and poem. Yeah, it's like very, very artsy, which was very fun to film. We did a scene underwater. So I had to be underwater in this big, big purple flowy dress.
Didn't you dress up as a mermaid for Halloween one year?
Most Halloweens.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I already see this. You're already underwater. Okay.
It works. And I was on swim team. I was like, this is going to be great. And the cinematographer was under the water, and the director was having to hold the cinematographer down because he would just float back up. It was a whole situation, but we did it, and it was hard. Like, it was hard to stay under with all of that cloth and to get all tied up in it, but that was absolutely a really fun, unique opportunity. So that is coming out to film festivals. And then I was also in a feature-length film called The Sound of Settling, and that's where I play the queen bee frenemy kind of person. I get to wear a flower crown because the beginning scene is at my character's birthday party, and she's very self-absorbed, and it was really fun. And it's a really, really sweet and heartfelt.
So can we see these things though? I know you have. Can we see Ashes?
Their Ashes is in film festivals, and then Sound of Settling is getting packaged for distribution. Okay. So I'll be able to let you know once we know.
On the website, we got to go to the website to keep up, and you'll show where we can go for each movie, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah. So those are the films upcoming, and
the pilot.
Then the pilot, and I also taught my first class last year, which was amazing. I went home. I'm from Tucson, Arizona, and I had one of my films screening in Tucson, and I thought, that's perfect. And a friend of mine messaged me and said, hey, I run an acting studio here in Tucson. Would you be open to teaching a class, like a big workshop? And I was like, 100%. So we had a class on creativity, worthiness, and the industry. So it's all about using your voice and playing within what's true for you and really letting your perspective come through.
I love it.
And how to market yourself in the Los Angeles area.
I love it, Stacy. Well, we're so excited for you. We're so happy to talk to you. And then you're one of those people we have to come back to every few months and see just what's going on.
Dakota has made an appearance.
Hi, Dakota. I remember you scratched the bejesus out of me.
I'm sorry.
Remember when we moved them to the apartments and they're like,
oh my God. That was a nightmare.
That was funny. The traumatized kitties.
Oh my God, that's funny. Oh yeah, one of them, like, I don't know if it was Sophia or Dakota, really scratched you up when we moved. Thank you for helping me move. I'm so sorry.
There you go. That's what friends are for. Thank you so much, Stacy. I love you. I miss you. I can't wait to see you soon. I'll give you a big kiss after this, Corona.
Right on the lips.
Thank you, Stacy. So I miss you, girl.
I miss you too. You're killing it out here. I love watching all the things that you're getting up to, all the things you're acting in, your training, this show. Keep crushing it.
Thanks, girl.
Oh, I'm begging you now, yeah. People